Welcome, everybody, to the Loud and Drunk podcast. I'm producer Dan. We have a great show lined up for you, but before we kick things off, I want to encourage you to subscribe to this podcast. We are on Apple, Google, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. Help us out by giving us a 5-star review. We are also on YouTube and Rumble, so be sure to smash that like button, leave us a comment, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to our channels. We want you to be a part of the conversation, so join us on social media at Loud and Drunk. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Locals. While you're on Locals, maybe think about giving us some money so we can, expand a little bit, do some events that we might talk about in this episode, and maybe get cameras, kind of doll things up on this podcast.
Make it pretty.
Make it pretty. All right, well, last episode I didn't do the intros, and I didn't hear the end of it from Moses, so we're going to do intros because... Let baby have his bottle, I suppose. And this is the one episode too that he does not want an intro. He barely wants to even be here. Moses, how was your week?
It was actually quite splendiferous.
Go on.
Why do we do intros? Why do you insist on doing intros if you're just going to introduce yourself like this?
Because this is what makes me happy, Dan.
Yeah, it's just
because it makes you sad.
Justin, how was your week?
My week's pretty good. I'm officially on vacation for the next 2 weeks. For once, I'm feeling good, and everybody else around me looks like absolute death. So I'm excited to see how this goes.
And do we have a clever name this week?
No, I don't have a clever name. You can just call me hungover. I made some choices, some bad decisions, and I'm paying for that now.
We will get into your week later.
All right, delightful. I'm so looking forward to that.
I wanted to kick things off in the most depressing fashion imaginable. I wanted you guys to hear, not even about my week, I want you to hear about my Thursday and Friday.
Oof.
So on Thursday, I get a text message from my kid sister, which simply says, can you help me take Jet, which is her dog, my mom's dog, and her sister's dog, to go get cremated. Now, a little backstory. The dog was nearly 16 years old.
Shit, that's a good run.
Had all sorts of tumors, like on the outside of his body. We had those lasered off about a few months ago.
Okay.
So it was supposed to be like a little bit higher quality standard of life for him. And then they just grew back immediately within not immediately, but like a few months passed by. And then within 2 weeks, they all grew back and they were all a lot stronger.
They didn't get all of it.
Well, no, they got everything on the outside, but he still, from the beginning of his life, he had always had allergy problems. Like, he's a Westie.
They got a lot of issues like that.
So it was just the dog had been on steroids for practically his entire life to deal with those. And then those drugs actually destroy your immune system.
100%.
So going back to this, the audience can already tell where this story is going.
So the dog lived.
In our hearts.
I asked her because my mom had already told her that she already came to the decision it's time to put the dog down. So I asked my sister if that had already been done because I actually cared for the dog too, and I would like to be there to say goodbye. And I didn't like the idea. I was like, "Oh, you did it and didn't tell me."
Stop being so selfish, Dan.
The statement through text seems a little bit of jumping the shark a little bit. Yeah. And it's just oh, okay. Did something happen I don't know about?
She told me it was going to happen somewhere between 1 and 2 p.m. Mm-hmm. So I got there around 12:30, said my goodbyes. Essentially, witness my mom and my two sisters' hearts shatter nearly simultaneously. Mm-hmm. Doctors come to the house, or vets come to the house, give him the shots, and he's gone within, a few minutes.
Yeah.
And it's also a baffling thing for somebody like me. If I wasn't emotionally attached to the dog in any way, it'd still be heartbreaking because you're witnessing your mom and your two sisters essentially have their hearts broken at the same exact time.
And it's an animal. So I feel like, at least for myself, it's that it's an innocent in that regard, you know? So I don't know. For me, it's just it's always sadder when it's an animal. If somebody had to show up and put Moses to sleep right now, I would be sad for probably a solid 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah.
But then I would forget about it and move on. But if it's like a squirrel or something like that, then it would be obviously a lot more sad because I don't know what the squirrel is feeling. And that makes it more difficult. I'm actually being very genuine right now.
I could put
I'm actually not
myself to
trying
sleep
to tell
at
a
any
joke.
moment right now.
Yeah. I wish someone would. I wish someone would.
But I'm here for you, buddy.
Thank you so much.
I'm here to support you.
That's delightful.
In all
Support
of your
Dan right now.
endeavors.
He's upset.
Yeah, you guys are
Dan, are you
adorable.
sad? It's interesting when you have to, like, there's 3 women around you. They're bawling.
Yeah.
And you're like, which one do I comfort first?
Right.
It's like, because it's my mom and my 2 sisters. Like, what am I to do?
You do a group hug in that.
That's hard when it's 3 other people.
Thing. They taught you that in the Navy, right?
Group hugs.
Instead of
I don't know
saying you're
what you guys
putting the dog down, you just say, we're just going to make some cotton candy because everybody likes cotton candy. So
My sisters are 24 years old, and my mom is not going to fall for that.
I mean, I'm not saying no to cotton candy, but I just don't understand.
We're just going to make cotton candy. And you're like, oh, all right.
Also, a little side note to all of this. Someone was coming to redo one of my mom's bathrooms. So there was a contractor there. He had to step out because he didn't want to be a part of that situation.
I wouldn't either. I'd be right the fuck out.
That bathroom is where they put the dog down that he's renovating.
That is not accurate.
No?
Oh, God, Moses.
Taking a shot in the dark.
Yeah.
What the hell? What are you doing? What else are you doing in the bathroom then? That's where I put all my dogs
Do you know what renovation means?
Yeah, you got to
Use bathrooms to kill dogs?
Not just dogs, but...
Jeez.
Anyway.
Sorry for your loss, Dan.
So we have to wait a little bit because we can't find the contractor. He walked out. We don't know where he went. And we can't just leave. His tools are all over the place.
He's hanging himself somewhere. It's so fucking depressing.
You're going to have to get his body cremated.
I think it's about like 15, 20 minutes. He comes back and then he packs up all his stuff. And we have to take the dog to the creamery. Or whatever you call it. Crematorium.
Crematorium is where we get ice cream.
Oh, man.
So we have to take the dog to the crematorium. Which always, that sounds worse.
Crematorium instead of a creamery.
I meant to say crematory anyway. I don't even think it's crematorium.
I mean, that's where they kill Jews. I know that.
Anyway.
Was the dog Jewish?
Did you make ice cream out of the dog?
My question was legitimate.
Your question was legitimate. Was the dog Jewish?
I don't know. It wasn't a pig, so he's allowed. She.
For the audience that can't see this, I'm looking at hungover.
Dan is pretty upset. Dan is pretty upset.
I don't
and
know why
rightfully
you're pushing
so.
him.
What I said was incredibly insulting.
So
I don't take it back.
we drive half an hour to
ice cream
the crematory.
Jesus.
And
Popsicles.
we get there.
Jesus Christ.
We get there, and it's about 3:30. They're like, "Oh, the process takes about 2 hours, so you're too late. Come back tomorrow." Which is, and if you could see the visual of my sister walking out of the place, holding her dead dog in a bed.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
That is terrible. Also, I just want to I'm sorry for the interjection, but 2 hours to cremate a relatively small dog, is that just them being thorough? Because I can't imagine that it takes that long.
You know, in the process,
Germans are really good at this.
There's probably more than one dog in there when you get
Jesus, Moses.
you gotta
Well,
do
it
it
kind of
in
is.
They do that.
They do that.
Yeah.
You're just getting everybody's ashes?
Kind of, you're getting an amalgamation of, yeah.
You're getting more dogs than than you came in with.
It's terrible.
Natural gas is expensive.
Yeah. I blame the state.
I mean, we're literally talking about a mass grave, essentially. So we are back to the crematorium.
Yes.
We're right back to Nazi
That's
Germany.
why it's called
Okay.
that.
All right, fair enough. Sorry for the interjection.
So we have to go back the next morning. My sister said that she wants to get there bright and early, so they opened at 9. We're gonna get there at 9.
Yeah.
We get there like a little sooner, but they let us in. Obviously, she is still heartbroken, so she needed a minute to kind of say her own little goodbye.
Yep.
We go inside. We're doing the final goodbyes, doing the payment, this, that, and the other thing. We walk out. We go into my car, and she doesn't want to leave. She doesn't want to be in there, but she also doesn't want to leave. Like, we're not leaving the general area. A few minutes pass by, and she's like, "Can we go get a drink?" So I'm like, "All right." There's a Wawa like less than a mile from here. We'll go there. We go to the Wawa, get out of the car, grab our drinks and like something to eat. Go back to the car, turn the key into the ignition, won't start. Now I have to figure out what the hell is wrong with it.
Right.
Like the fob key opened the door, all the lights are on, the headlights work. It is not the battery.
Right.
And yet,
Probably the dog's ghost.
Yeah. Ghost dog.
gee.
Ghost dog. Remember that movie?
thank you, Moses.
Forrest Whitaker.
It is, yeah.
So we try to get a jump from the car that's right next to us, and it won't take the jump. So now I have to call USAA for roadside assistance, and their ETA for getting the car towed was 58 to 88 minutes. We do not live in the middle of bumblefuck.
Right.
Did you tell him you had that dog?
Why would that? Why that would make them come sooner?
Maybe.
Why-
Play
no,
their
it would.
emotions.
Plus,
would
the
put
dog was
forth the
already in the place. He was already.
Well, I mean, you tell him that you tell him we've
they
got
don't
a
know
Jewish dog here. It died, and there's a cremation
If
involved.
you say
I don't know how this
if
works.
you say Jewish dog, they're never showing.
That's probably
that is
true. Yeah.
He's an all-American
It's not
dog.
the same thing as saying like Mexican dog, but I understand what you mean. Yeah.
So my sister gets her boyfriend to come and grab her, thinking that I could jump into the truck with the dude.
Yeah.
The dude's like, "No, I'm taking this to the AAA that's a couple miles from here, and you don't want to get caught in all that traffic, so you might as well go in the same car." We all go in the same car, and I've made, other than all of my tools being strategically placed in my home and not my car, another strategic error. I had left my wallet and $225 in cash in the car.
Yeah. Well played.
Yeah.
That's a generous tip.
Yeah, it was fortunately. So I had to ask my sister and her boyfriend to drop me off at the AAA,
Yeah.
which was great because they were playing The View when I was there, which is a war crime.
That's nice. That's nice.
It's always good to see Whoopi doing things.
Yeah. That dog is probably rolling
I think
over.
seriously she's going to be doing a Sister Act 3, so stay
I don't know if
tuned
you're
for that.
joking or not.
I'm not. I wish I was.
Wow. That's sad.
My sister comes after I get all that. My sister comes and grabs me. Go back. The contractor was supposed to be there from like 11 to 12 or whatever. Never showed up. My sister wanted to go have lunch.
He hung himself, right?
Did not hang himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, go to the bar when my sister gets back, run into some of our friends. And this gentleman here who can't speak because there's no mic right next to him.
Colin gives a thumbs up. I was just so
good.
everybody
Was
knows.
that Thursday?
It looks good over there.
That was,
When did I go to MJ's? What day was that? Wednesday?
yeah. So this was everything after that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was just like everything after that. Then I get notice from AAA that they won't be looking at my car that day, and they will look at it tomorrow. And I knew exactly what the problem was, and they told me exactly what the problem was. The next day it was the starter, which I knew, and I told them it's the starter. Please just look at the starter. And they're like, "Well, it could be the battery." I'm like, "It's not the battery. If it was the battery, would the fob key work to open the doors?"
You could have a dead dog in the cylinder. Nobody knows.
That does. Yeah.
That's just math.
Guys. But I mean, like any of those places, whether it's AAA, like AutoZone, those places, they will always try to hammer into you that your battery is now compromised and like you have to get your battery swapped out.
That it's weak.
Debrief my
Yeah.
battery every
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
so
well,
it
yeah, that's what.
doesn't get-
Oh, yeah, your battery's not holding charge, it's discharging, it's weak.
And that's what they told me. That your battery won't hold the charge. And I worked with batteries for UPS systems for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
I know how batteries of that size work.
But not as well as someone with nearly 2 weeks of training at AAA, Dan.
Yeah,
So, I
and
mean, just
also
give credit where
you're
credit is due.
in the midst of grief. So what do you know?
Yeah, he was
You're emotional
hysterical.
and-
He wasn't thinking clearly.
Yeah,
You know.
it was probably the battery.
Yeah. Carrying around a dead dog.
I wasn't allowed to carry the dog. My sister fought me practically. And I want her to get out of the car. I'm like, "I'll grab the dog for you, sweetheart." And she's like, "No."
You were too hysterical.
Oh, yeah. I was the one that was hysterical out of the four. I'm not saying that I didn't have any emotions in the process, but
It sounds like he didn't have any emotions.
Yeah, so you're-
Jesus Christ.
you're
Open
getting
your
a little
heart
off
for
the
a
chain
moment.
now.
It's a dead dog. And that poor
I'm
AAA
sorry. The one who's
salesman.
worried about the dog's religion has some words on the
I'm
subject.
just saying we should respect the dog's religion. The dog is dead, Dan. Why are we just going to gloss over
what were
the
his last
religion of the
wishes?
dog?
Probably was to be
didn't even
fed.
ask.
That was the only thing that he had.
You didn't
he had left.
feed him?
Oh, he had
No wonder
food.
he died. You gotta feed
Jesus,
dogs.
Moses.
Yeah, you are. Jesus
That's
Christ.
even rougher than what I said.
So that was my not even a week, guys.
Yeah,
How was yours?
You gotta
That
feed 'em.
was your day.
Yeah.
Holy
You
shit,
gotta
man.
feed them unleavened dog
Oh
food.
God, give it up, please.
So the dog survived.
What in the hell story were you actually listening to?
I'm done with that joke. I apologize.
Listen, it sucks. Like I've had to have over the years several pets put down, and it's an absolute gut punch. And especially in your situation, you got younger sisters and your mom,
Yeah.
and obviously they're more outward with their emotions than probably you or most of us are. And yeah, you absolutely feel terrible for everybody. You miss the dog if you were close to the dog, and then you hate to see your family in pain.
And that
It
dog
sucks.
was practically 16 years old. Like he earned a seat at the
Yeah, it's a
table.
good
Like
life.
it's a long life. It was essentially my sister's childhood dog.
Right.
Like
Oh, shit, yeah. I didn't even think about that.
when they got him, I was still in the Navy. That
Yeah.
was 15 some years ago.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'll say, jokes aside, when I had to put down an animal, it's heartbreaking. You know, there's no joke about that, unless you're Moses, in which case, have at it. But he's got like a million cats. I mean, like they're in one door and out the other into some
the
sort of
biggest
like a
pain in the
furnace that he
ass-
has set up. I don't know. How
The
it
biggest
works.
pain in the ass now is finding I don't have anywhere else to dig in the backyard.
I mean, I don't want to dive too deep into this, but I will never forget that you were keeping a dead cat in the freezer.
Yes.
'Cause that is just
Well, the ground was
awful.
too cold to dig.
No,
was
it
like
wasn't.
frozen. It
No,
was.
the ground was not. We do not live in Siberia. There is no permafrost here, and even if there was, you can absolutely dig in it. So,
Well,
in other
where were
words, what you're
you?
describing
Where
is-
were you when the time to dig came?
I was criticizing you for putting a cat in the freezer.
It's fine.
Terrible things.
It's like you don't have a morgue somewhere hidden.
Well, I just put them in the swamp.
Well, I mean, as you guys know, when I bought my house, the backyard was an absolute pet cemetery.
Yeah.
You know, every now and then, a local fox would dig up another
Oh, right.
corpse.
I
That's
just
the
imagine the
problem.
movie. What was it? Poltergeist.
Poltergeist.
Yeah.
Oh, with it.
They moved the stones, but
Yeah.
not the body.
Oh, yeah. It's just ridiculous. I mean, the stuff you just never imagined. Fox digs down a hole, now there's liquefied fat flowing up through the ground, and it's just like, for those of you that bury your pets, don't wrap them in plastic before you do so, because they just
Why would
liquefy.
you do that?
I put him in a towel.
I didn't do it.
Yeah.
The previous owner did.
Why
it.
would anyone do that? Do people not understand that
That's
plastic
so he
does
doesn't
not
rise out of
biodegrade?
the grave. You know, you've seen Pet Cemetery.
Oh my God! First of all, Poltergeist is the movie that we're referencing.
I know, but Pet Cemetery is a cemetery of pets, and that was fucking creepy too.
It was pretty creepy. Well, I don't know,
Sometimes dead is better.
Yeah, I don't
Isn't
understand
that what
why
their
those
thing is?
why
That's
those
the
trucks were
tagline.
driving so fast.
So
down
fast.
that
Because
road.
they had to make time.
Was it like
they
an
had a
over, it was
delivery.
an
It was-
over the top situation?
That's all. That also ties into Smokey and the Bandit because they were. That's what those trucks were hauling was
Smokey and the
hooch.
Bandit?
Yeah,
Oh, hooch.
Ouch.
Okay.
illegal hooch. So they had to get to their place quick because the Bandit was on them.
Dead kids or not?
Oh yeah,
Oh.
dead kids be damned.
What killed the cat? The cat got
I
hit
think the
too?
cat was just. I think he got hit by a car too on that.
That's sad. I never felt
Something
bad
like
for the
that.
kid in that.
Because
though.
Fred Gwynn was like, "Oh, you got to watch the road here because they come flying
That's
down." here."
cursed ground.
Yeah. Well,
I don't want to go over there.
he didn't bring that up right at first. But,
Ah, I love that inflection. I don't know why we don't all talk that
well,
way.
like a Jimmy Stewart in flat. I don't think Fred
I love
Gwynn
that
did
Jimmy
that, but,
Stewart thing, man. It's like it's that fake mid-Atlantic accent.
Yeah.
from the
but
1950s.
Fred Gwynn never did. Was he like that?
Well, no, I don't. It's not the same thing, but it's a similar kind of. Don't go over there.
I guess he
It's a
kind of.
made-up accent.
He
It's not-
kind of had that
Nobody talks
in My Cousin Vinny as the judge.
Oh no, that was a Southern drawl
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
But that was Fred Gwynn too, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
It was the same guy, yeah, but it was a totally different accent. The one he was doing a Southern accent in Vinny, but in Pet Cemetery it was like this made up. I don't even know where that took place. It was a
I
Stephen King
imagine
thing,
it was
so
Maine.
I would assume Maine.
yeah.
Yeah, Maine.
That's what I assume was where.
It's always Stephen
Yeah.
King is always Maine.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about that the other
Well,
day.
it was like Dewberry or something like that, wasn't it?
Dewberry?
Always, yeah,
Wasn't
whatever
it
the
something
fuck
like
that means.
That was the name of their town.
It's
was like
always
something-
Maine. It's always every single thing
Yeah.
that Stephen King has done. First of all, it's always the same. Just not just the it's a
No,
monster.
sometimes it's aliens.
Yeah, but the aliens are just monsters. It's the exact same thing. It's just the origination of them.
because they didn't talk to it.
Oh, God damn it.
I get to know them.
Terrible. Let's talk about Maximum Overdrive if you want to.
Oh, God.
Oh,
no, I'm cutting it off right here. I'm cutting it off right here.
I love that truck.
We can't.
Fucking Green Goblin.
We can't bring any more pain and suffering to Dan.
yeah, you're torturing him enough.
His-
yeah, the way you guys handled that story was less than couth.
No, we're here for you, man.
Doing my best, Dan.
My condolences.
Yeah, I wish we put you down instead of the dog.
That's what I was saying.
I know how you feel. We lost a friend in D&D last night.
oh, God.
His character died, and now he's got to have a new one.
While accurate, not the place.
Well, I did ask a question of how was your week, and you should have some stories about a week because you went on a little bit of a trip, didn't you?
You went on a journey.
Mr. Hungover.
I am feeling a little rough.
Man of the
partially
world.
from that journey. I went to Colombia. I had a 14-hour layover in Fort Lauderdale, which is obviously the greatest city, not just in Florida or the United States, but in the entire world. It was awful.
Was that an intentional 14-hour layover or something happened?
It was like I knew that I was going to be there for that amount of time.
Gotcha,
So
okay.
I wouldn't say intentional,
Right,
but I was
right.
aware that it was going to occur.
Yeah.
If you're flying, I wanted to fly out of AC instead of Newark because AC is just easier to fly out of.
That's where we flew out of last time, right?
Yeah. Exactly. It's a very small airport, so you get through security in 5 minutes. If you're in Newark, it takes an hour easy. So I basically made the trade-off of, spending less time online and more time, stuck at a fucking airport. And on top of that, flying out of Newark would have cost more than 3 times.
Oh,
as much
100%.
money.
Yeah.
So I made that call, essentially. That said, it was awful being there for 14 hours. It's the first time I ever slept at an airport. I found a nice little bench, and I curled up like a homeless man. That was probably the best part of it.
Did you need a California blanket?
Oh, what is that?
It's
newspapers?
it's a newspaper. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I got there. Eventually jumped on my flight, got down to Colombia, and what happened there, really? I was just there to see family, so I pretty much jumped off the plane.
You were by yourself?
Yes, yeah, I was flying solo. And just there to see family, and I walked from the airport over to my hotel, which I purposefully booked about a half an hour away.
Nice.
I found out later that apparently, it crossed my mind that like wherever an airport is, the neighborhoods that surround the airport are not the best neighborhoods.
No.
So it absolutely crossed my mind that maybe that's not a walk I should make.
Yeah.
But I kind of made the judgment call, and I was like, I'll just skip over to the beach. When you're in Cartagena, Colombia, then the beach is pretty much
all encompassing around you. It's beautiful.
The airport is like 3 blocks away, so it was no big deal. So I basically like beelined it right over to the beach, and then I just took that route straight up, basically straight back to the hotel, which is also on the water. As, again, everything there is. So yeah, basically jumped out there, had to go through immigration, which was very interesting because there were so many Americans there this time. None of them with any real. They had like never been there before, I guess. That's like a new thing because of the exchange rate. So I was just chilling on this line with a bunch of gringos like myself, which was terribly annoying. So I was trying to be the cool guy, and instead, I was a douchebag like everyone else there. The Colombians all scoffing at you.
Yeah, you should always be yourself.
Yeah, there we are. And eventually got through that. They ask you why you're there. I just put down tourism because they did not have visiting family on there for some reason.
I find that odd.
That is a
does
little
seem a little
unusual.
weird,
Yeah.
They had a lot of, it was a long list. It was like 30 items on there. A lot of them related to doing different types of business.
It's weird. Couldn't it just be, I'm here for business? What does it matter what business?
Yeah.
The,
I guess
the
for
minutia of it doesn't
their
matter.
records and such. I have no idea. But so anyways, I get through all that bullshit. That takes 2 hours. And walk back to the hotel. Yeah, it took fucking forever.
That's a long time.
It was so absurd. And you're just standing online listening to douchebags around you talk about nonsense. So eventually, get to the hotel, check in there. I make that walk. There's no real problems to speak of. And make the walk back to the hotel. Check my shit in. First thing that I go and do is purchase myself a bottle of whiskey.
Yep.
Because, what else would you do? And
What kind of whiskey they got down there? Because I know in Japan we found a lot of good whiskeys that you can't find here. So.
Yeah, so they have the whiskeys are all imported there. The things that are made in Colombia and the surrounding areas are like rums and more traditional, Spanish alcohols and
they're not
beers and stuff.
Whiskey isn't really within their
Yeah, so it's all imported
purview.
from Scotland, Ireland, etc.
Yeah.
That said, they're different from the ones that we have here. So I drank one called Something Special. I've never seen that here, but whatever.
Sounds cheap.
Yeah, it was the exchange rate was incredible. So it was like that bottle cost me, I don't know, $3.
It's
Oh, wow. And that was
It's pretty decent.
a
Yeah, it was a
decent
proper
bottle.
bottle. Yeah, proper bottle. And so I started to work on that and wandered around the city for a little bit. I'm trying to think. I really didn't do all too much there besides eat and drink, I think.
We've been there a bunch of times. So
I've been there
you've seen the sites that, you know,
I mean, I'm not like doing the tourist thing.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what sucks is that even when I was walking from the airport to the hotel, like I said, I'm walking down the beach.
Yeah.
And then when I left the hotel after checking in, yada, yada, I went to just continue walking down the beach, more or less. I'm on the sidewalk that's like adjacent.
Yeah.
So I'm not proper on the beach. And these motherfuckers who are up on the beach, they've got like tents set up and umbrellas, and just everybody's trying to sell you everything because you're in a developing country.
Yes.
So there's a lot of poverty. So they're just like, they're hustlers, you know, they're just trying to sell you shit. And these motherfuckers could spot me. They're all the way down near the water. They're like a little speck in my periphery, and they can recognize that I'm a fucking gringo from that distance. And they've got voices that just carry. I guess this is their business, you know, like
they're all buskers.
Yeah, exactly. They're all buskers, you know. And I would have these motherfuckers where they just call out. And they already know, which is so obnoxious to be called out from that kind of a distance, where it's like that you have no ability to conceal yourself. So it would just be somebody who'd be like, hello. It's like, motherfucker, come on. And they're trying to like sell you a back rub or fucking, you know, suntan lotion or whatever the fuck it is.
How much were their back rubs?
I have no idea. I think they were like 50 cents.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
I mean, you have at it then. You know, it's not my thing. They were saying to me, they were like, you want to get out of the sun? And I like, when they got like a little aggressive about it, we're still talking from like 50 feet away.
Right.
So like, we're both yelling at each other. Everyone can hear you. There's no reason for this. And they would just be like, you want to get out of the sun? And eventually I would just be like, the whole reason that I came here was for the sun. So why the fuck am I trying to get out of it, you know? But they don't back off because I figure if they're just like, they push you enough, then eventually, you know, they jump in on it kind of thing.
What I would say about, you know, the peddlers and hustlers down there is that at least they're not like super shitty to you, which I've experienced in Europe a lot and stuff.
Yeah.
And well, especially here in the States.
Oh, yeah.
But there is a level of charm and charisma to there.
Yeah, they're not going to like get too close to you.
Right.
They're not going to like, you know, be aggressive about it.
Yeah.
But they're going to talk to you. And the idea that they have is that if they just keep kind of belting it out, you're just going to feel pressured.
Okay.
Yeah, and you just go
away.
along with that. Yeah.
Here's your 2 pence to
I went
whatever
to
you got.
on that note, I did my little walk. I was waiting so I did the check-in, but I couldn't get into the room yet. So I found a restaurant that was pretty nearby. So I go in there, and it's 2 kids working, female and a male, and they were, I guess, maybe like 17, 18 years old. They were pretty young. And so, you know, in my broken Spanish, I'm like, I'd like to get something to eat, something to drink. And I'm like, great, sit wherever you want. There's nobody there. So go and sit down, chilling out. I end up asking the young lady, she goes, what would you like to eat? And I said, I looked at the menu. She kind of goes over it really briefly with me. I didn't recognize a lot of the dishes on there. And I say to her, I was like, you know what? Just pick something for me, you know? Me elijas. And she goes, okay. And she goes, you know, is there anything that you like, don't like? And I go, I like everything.
Yeah.
You know, everything is good by me. And I'm used to doing the same thing here in the States where it's like I'll just say to the bartender or whoever, I'll just be like, yo, just pick for me.
What's it?
And the reaction is always the same. They're like, oh my God, I don't want this pressure. Like what, you know. Like,
a lot of bartenders hate that.
they don't, it's almost rude. I do it anyway because I'm an asshole, but like they don't want to have to make this choice for you.
Right.
This girl.
Because God forbid you don't like it.
Right, exactly. They don't want to deal with the repercussions, you know. So this person, as soon as I say I like everything, she just goes, bien. And just walks away, grabs the menu and just walks away from me. And I'm like, okay.
The best mushroom and potatoes you ever had, right?
Yeah, right. And I end up getting like a 2-pound meal. I'm pretty sure she just picked out the most expensive thing.
Yeah, why wouldn't she?
Right, of course, yeah. So I end up, they bring this fucking thing out, and I'm like making jokes, once again in broken Spanish. They speak 0 English. So I tell them, I'm like, my family lives here, this, that, the other. And I get to work on the meal. And I get pretty much all of it done. I am full as shit.
Is that the meal that you sent pictures of?
Yes, correct. Yeah,
That was quite the spread.
It was a big
big platter.
platter.
It was a big dish. Yeah.
That chorizo, a little suspect, but the rest of it looked delicious.
Yeah. And so I basically get done with the meal. The whole time, you know, they're checking on me, and I express that this is a big fucking meal. So this is the first time I've been in this country a million times. And this is the first time that I've seen a meal that rivals an American meal in size.
Right.
You know, so they're laughing. And then the kid comes back around and basically done. I get one more whiskey because, you know. And
breakfast.
Vacation.
And he says to me, and he's like, he goes, tenemos hamburguesas y pizza. And I was like, excuse me?
Yeah.
This is a beer and pizza?
This is a new thing, yeah. And because I had seen it on the signs while I was doing this walk, that there's hamburgers everywhere because there's so many Americans.
So many Americans. Oh, God, we ruin everything just by proxy.
And so I ask him to repeat himself, and he does, you know, and he says hamburguesas. And I say to him, you know, in Spanish, I'm like, listen, I didn't sit in fucking Florida for 14 fucking hours to eat a meal that I could eat in fucking New Jersey, you know. So they all got a great fucking laugh out of that because they just, you know, expected, you know, a typical piece of shit American, whereas I'm a unique
You're
one.
just a unique piece of shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But so I passed that up, and went and bought myself another bottle of whiskey on the way back, another $3. You know, so I was doing a real number on that one, and I think I mostly just like chilled in the hotel. I saw my family for a bit. We drank some more whiskey there. It happens to be that my cousin's lovely husband is a whiskey drinker. At first, when I got there, they were like, "Would you like a glass of wine?" And I thought to myself, "I'm like, first of all, yes, I do want to drink alcohol because I can't stop now. That's a thing." And I was like, but I thought in my mind, I was just like, man, I'm so happy that it's wine because I am really on like a hell of a fucking bender right now. I'm fucked up like for days now. It's ridiculous. And so I walk back out to the kitchen. Husband's there, and he goes, "I only have whiskey. I hope that's okay." And of course, I was like, "Oh my God, I love whiskey." And so I drank that and, stumbled my way back through the whole city once again. I put in some miles, I'll tell you that. I drank probably about 5,000 calories of whiskey a day.
Oh, my goodness.
And walked off most of it, I think. I don't know.
Well, that is the good thing about that area is you can do a lot of walking. I don't know. Did you stay in, like, Boca Grande this time? Or?
No, I stayed closer to the airport.
Okay.
So I was up the beach, basically.
Gotcha.
So I was in a more, like, touristy area in that it's, like, hotels that are right on the water. That said, for I want to say it was 4 days that I was there.
Yeah.
And I stayed at a pretty nice spot. Like nicer than, I'll put it this way, nicer than when we stayed there last.
Gotcha.
And nicer than I would have liked for it to have been because I want more of like the culture. So last time that we were there, I want to say we stayed in like a 1-story place. It was almost like an Airbnb, but it was like a hotel room.
Yeah,
proper hotel room. This was a high rise.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It was like a typical American hotel.
Right.
But yeah, so I was in that area, but from there you can walk to the old city, you can walk in all sorts of different directions. So I mean, it worked out well for me in that regard. But yeah, you have to deal with the hecklers and like hustlers and that type of shit because it's a lot of Americans and Europeans, and they are the types to be buying this bullshit
all the
that
nonsense.
I'm just not interested in. You know, if you want to sell me lobster tails, that's a thing there. You can just like buy those on the boardwalk or on the fucking beach,
like as a treat, like a
literally, there will
like
be
as
a man.
A corn dog, like you would have a corn dog at a fair.
Yes.
They have just like lobster.
There will literally be a man with like a cooler, and it's filled with lobster tails that he's just caught. And,
when he cooks it,
and
right
he's
there?
just like walking around with it.
That's
And he's just selling lobster
I can't wait
tails
to
for like
go.
50 cents or something.
I can't wait to go to Colombia. I have not been.
It's awesome. I've been a couple times with Peter.
Have you been, producer Dan?
I have not been to Colombia. The closest I've been is to Antigua and St. Martin, which is nowhere close.
Oh yeah, that's not. Yeah, it's not. I've been to a bunch of those fucking places.
But
it's not the same.
What it is amazing, and unfortunately, like it's building up fast now.
Yes, very much so.
So, like the first time I went with you, when your father was still around and whatnot, like he brought us all around, but it was still very much an underdeveloped place. I mean, like it's Cartagena, it's a city.
Oh yeah.
And that's when your father had the place there and whatnot. But I mean, it was cool. I mean, he took us to that martini bar where we had lychee martinis.
Oh my god,
that sounds great.
I had a lychee martini when I was there.
Nice.
Oh, phenomenal.
Is lychee?
It's a fruit.
I know what
South
lychee
Asia.
is, but is it like grown there?
I don't think so. 'Cause I think it's mostly in Asian.
It's Asian.
That's why I was curious as
It's
to
like
why they would have a
Cambodia,
lychee
Vietnam, Laos.
Yeah.
Because it's a great flavor. There's that fucking beer that I can't remember, the Hideko beer. Where it's fruit beer.
Hideko, I think. right?
Yeah, whatever the Japanese town is. And like it's really good. They have a lychee flavor. They have like a Japanese apple flavor.
It's a great,
some other
it's
one.
a great flavor.
Lemon lime.
And in Colombia, it's very popular. So I had one of those there, which is very nice.
But like back in the between 10 and 15 years ago was the first time I went with you.
Yeah, 10 years ago.
10 years ago, okay. And it was like, you had Boca Grande, you had Old City.
Yeah.
And like that was more or less it. There was some development on the outside of that, but not a whole lot.
Now it's getting the type of sprawl that we see here in the States where you have a suburb that's outside of the city itself, and there's like a gap between them a little bit.
I saw
Not to say there's nothing there, but there's a gap.
I saw this a lot because I've been to Aruba like 15 fucking times.
Yeah.
And like even when the first time I went there, it was the first time I saw a Taco Bell. Like the first time I went to a Taco Bell was in Aruba. Because they just weren't.
We never had a Taco Bell
close.
by us.
Yeah,
When
now we have them littered,
yeah.
but like it was at the time there wasn't like Taco Bell.
I didn't have Taco Bell until I was 20-something.
Yeah, it was late. Like I should have had Taco because it's such a fucking American nonsense thing that there's no reason I shouldn't have had it sometime in my youth. But that was the first time I had it. But in Aruba, I saw every time we went year after year, and you saw it growing, becoming more Americanized and gentrified in a way like. Even when that fucking girl got killed at one of the bars there, because there's out in Aruba, there's two Carlos and Charlies. This is where she was partying before she got killed, but she was at the local one, not the one that they have set up right by the
resort area.
Yeah, where the ships let off. There's a Carlos and Charlies there, and it's it's divey and fun, but it's not the same because I went with the blackjack dealer. I went with him, like we went on a cocaine tour. And
nice.
It was fun. I got to eat dinner with his family. Like he brought me to his house. His wife cooked me a meal. I like hung out with the kids and shit. Like we were fucking just hanging out.
The quintessential Aruba experience.
It was
like dinner and some cocaine.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, you wanna go to Carlos and Charlie's?" I'm like, "Well, fuck yeah!" Like, and I figured it was the one. Like that was the one because this was at a time before that girl got killed.
Yes.
So like Carlos and Charlie's was always like an idea. So like we went to the real one. Like we did so much fucking like right on the bar. It was like how you see like 60s and 70s movies when it's like a little dive bar, in Philadelphia or something like that, or in fucking, it's like, you just do it right on the bar. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody's like, oh, can I get some? Like it's like, oh, you're doing that? Okay, I'll be over here doing that.
Right, exactly.
Like it was just a normal thing, but watching it grow and become more gentrified.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Americanized.
The last time I went with you, which was about 5 years ago, so we'll call it the halfway point. I mean, it was incredibly, like, done up. Yeah. Like, almost unrecognizable.
Yeah. And they're still building.
So I can only imagine what it is now.
There's more towers going up all over the place. And my family moved outside of the city, only about 15, 20 minutes because that sprawl is new. So in other words, the sprawl is just close to the city center.
Of course.
But they've put in all sorts of, they have rules in effect now where, like, I know that they're doing something like this in Manhattan where you get like a surcharge for driving around in Manhattan now.
That's hilarious.
Because they're trying to penalize, they're trying to reduce the traffic essentially. And they're doing it obviously by raising money because that's what they do.
Yeah.
So in Colombia, what they're doing, it's actually a stupid little funny story. My cousin, she goes, we're going out to lunch. She's like, but can you meet me at this gas station? You passed it on the way from the airport. Can you meet me over there? She goes, the reason is that they set up checkpoints. And it's kind of like the way that it was in like the 70s from what I've read here, where they go by the last digit of your license plate. If it's an odd or if it's an odd or an even number.
I thought that was just for like gas here.
Well, that's for gas here, yeah. So what they do there is that you're just not allowed to, if they see the number twice, then they will fine you. So they're just collecting money. They just have checkpoints set up.
Okay.
And it was funny because she was like, can you meet me over there? And I was a little bit slow to text her back. So I texted her back and I was like, yes, no problem. Just like pinpointed on the map so I don't go to the wrong spot. And she goes, never mind. I can pick you up at the hotel. So I ended up calling her. And I was just like, are you sure? I don't want to get you in trouble.
Well, what's going on?
Yeah. And she's like, no. She's like, we're good. I saw the checkpoint on my way over there earlier today. But she goes, the time that I have to pick you up, which was like 12:30 or something like that, she's like, they're all on lunch.
It's like the change of the guard.
Oh yeah, there's no like they just like straight up just like pack up their fucking thing and just like depart.
And what do they do? They just like give you tickets?
They basically give you.
Is that's what they're doing? They don't like really search a car and they're just like,
they
here's
don't.
a ticket
They don't.
for
They don't
being here
search
twice.
it. Yeah, no, they're just collecting money. Because I mean, just like here, it's corrupt, but it's just corrupt in a different way. Here, it's corrupt in a legal way.
Yeah,
it's a more legitimized corrupt than.
Yeah. Whereas there, it's the same. It's the same thing. I mean, you're just paying the government.
Yeah.
But really, what happens?
It's like
there,
the fucking Parkway. Like that shouldn't be a thing. We shouldn't have to pay anymore.
Right.
It's been paid off, but yet it's
and
still
that's
exists.
just it. Yeah, there what happens is that if you get stopped for that type of thing, then you slip the equivalent of a $20 bill, and the person just doesn't record it.
Yep.
So it goes
So it's
in their
just bribery,
pocket. It's just
but, like-
bribery. Yeah, exactly.
Well, listen,
Open
if you're a person that travels, and especially to lesser developed countries, that's something you kind of got to do. Say if you go to Thailand or anything like that, you kind of have to, walk around with a hundo in your pocket.
Yep.
I mean, depending, maybe even a 20 will be good in some places. But assistant producer Colin's brother-in-law, Rin,
All right. Yeah.
he talks about it all the time because he's Thai, and he's like, you have a 20 spot.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna fuck with you for some reason.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
like, 'cause they know
they're looking to get $20. Is really what it is.
Yeah, there's a reason you're in Thailand as an American, and it's because you're into fucking adventure and debauchery.
Yeah. I mean, the bottom line is that they know that you've got it on you.
Yeah.
So they're gonna get it out of you. It's like the cost of doing business. If you want to be there, then you're gonna need to grease the wheel.
It's an accepted shakedown.
Yeah.
We all know what the rules are on the good side and bad side of it. We just know it as a way of life.
Yeah. I'll tell you guys this little funny little nuance. I get out at the airport, and they have a money exchange there, as they do at all airports.
Yeah.
And I chose not to exchange my money there.
Yeah,
because
rates are probably high.
Yeah, they exactly. They charge you.
They get you.
Yeah. So I end up going to that restaurant that I mentioned. I go in there, I get this whole fucking extravagant thing, and I was like, I go to pay with a credit card.
Right.
And it did cross my mind about halfway through the meal. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
They probably don't take credit cards here. But I was in too deep because I'd eaten half the meal. So I knew I had to follow through.
It's time to start washing dishes, bitch.
So I just played it cool, and I handed over the credit card, and they're like, "Oh no, we can't take that." And I was like, "Oh, I did not collect any."
I'm sure they would have been happy with a 20 for whatever.
Well, that's
you got.
just it.
Like it's
So they-
probably more than enough.
Well, that's just it. Yeah, the exchange rate is so good. So I was like, I only have American. So he had to go and check, but he did, and he was like, "No, we're good with that." Obviously, it was advantageous to them.
Yeah, because they're going to be making more off it anyway.
So I go and I give him my whole fucking meal was, I want to say it was like I bought a whole bottle of liquor. I got that giant meal. I drank a lot of drinks there. It was $8 US. Right? They did the math right in front of me.
Okay. That's
It was $8
give
US.
them the goddamn
and
20,
the only
man.
thing that I had was a 20. So I hand them
give
the
it to
20.
them.
Yeah.
And they take it, they look at it, and then they look at me, and they just like shrug their shoulders. And I was like, yeah, I know you don't
I
have
know
change.
you can't make it.
Yeah, I was like, that's just yours now. Can I leave?
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah. So I end up going back there, and the same kid is working, and he's like, "Do you have any more American money?" Because I guess they figured it out, And I was like, "Not on me." I was like, so I was like going to exchange my money at the same time. So
but they kind of owed you a meal even later.
Whatever.
Technically,
That's not. I mean, that's not how that works.
Yeah,
It's a 20 spot. Let it go.
Yeah, give it back. Give what back?
Yeah.
give me one more meal later.
Yeah. So anyway, so there's this money changer like right next door. Right? So I pop in there real quick. And you're supposed to, I completely forgot about this as well. My cousin had said to me, she was like, don't carry your passport. You remember I got in trouble the one time. We got stopped.
Yeah, we got stopped at that weird checkpoint of sorts.
So since then, I carry my passport. And she was like, no, don't do that. That's dangerous to do that.
Interesting.
Because
Why?
it could get lost. It could, if somebody has to see it, they might not give it back to you, and you have no recourse.
Yeah.
You can't like do anything about it.
Now you're there longer playing around with the embassy, and it's a whole fucking to-do.
So she says, don't do that. She's like, just carry a photo. So I had a photo of my passport.
Oh, interesting.
A photo of the passport.
Of the passport, right. Which is not legal to exchange money for, because they track the changing of money for obvious reasons, drug dealing and shit like that.
Right.
So anyway, so I pop into this spot, and the first thing that he says, I was like, I have $200 to exchange, and he's like, pasaporte. And I was like, and I was like, I do not have it. And he's like, I can't change your money. And I was like, I have a photo. And he's like, that's not good enough, but let me take a look. And he looks at it, and he like does this like hand motion where he like washes like over the scene. And there's obviously like glass between us.
Yeah,
and he's dealing in money, and I have no idea what that means. So I'm just like, I don't.
It's a blessing.
What is this?
It's a fucking Jedi trick.
And he's like, Peter. And I'm like, yeah. And he looks at me and he's like, Peter. I'm like, yeah. And he does the same motion again.
He wants you to moon him.
I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is happening right now. Like, and I've already handed him the $200, so like, I feel like I'm getting scammed now. You know? And he does it a third time, and I finally like look on the glass itself. It says Pedro. Like in big letters. The name of his business was Pedro's Money Exchange. And he's saying it, he's like, we've got the same name.
And that's all it takes.
And he was enthralled with this, way more than I was, you know, because I mean, like, I get it. We have the same
common name, like,
you know,
worldwide.
But so he was like, I'm going to exchange your money for it. And he did me a fucking solid deal, barely charged me anything.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I got the money out of it. And he was like, it was so ridiculous because my phone kept locking on it. And he's like, I do have to put in the information. He's like, I can't do it without that because this goes right back to the government. So
you know, it is so funny. Like the first trip I went on, when we were leaving, I was wearing Converse when we were going through a very rudimentary style of security back then.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, "You guys are in punk rock bands."
Oh yeah.
We're like, "No."
Yeah.
He's like, "Punk rock, great mark, punk rock." It's like,
oh,
okay.
It was great when I was leaving the country.
Yeah.
It's a very similar setup to what you remember. So it's not like that fancy scanner that sees everything inside of your pockets and such. Instead, it's just a basic metal detector. And if you go off for whatever reason, then they give you a pat down.
Right.
So I went off. Maybe it was like a button on the
Who knows?
whatever, you know. So they have me step up to the spot, and you get a typical pat down, just like here. And the person who comes up to pat me down in their full military uniform is a woman who is approximately 4.5 feet tall. And the first thing that they have to start at is your shoulders. And she reaches as high as she can.
Oh my
goodness. And she is a pretty significant distance away from my shoulders. And we're facing each other.
Right.
So I bend at the knees to go down to her level. And we share this really delightful but very awkward smile as she like feels me up to make sure I don't have anything. And I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, it was almost like we said with our eyes, like, why do you have this job?
Right.
Because there's a lot of taller people here who at the bare minimum could reach my shoulder.
Right.
It's not like I'm that
God
tall.
forbid, like a 6'7" Scandinavian dude comes
Right,
through.
exactly. Yeah, it was totally absurd.
I guess I'll pat on your abs from down here.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, it seemed like the highlight of her day. I guess
my
mine,
God.
you know?
My goodness.
But, that was basically the gist of it.
Yeah.
Overall, pretty fun.
So, people, if you get the chance, don't go to Colombia. Mm-hmm. Don't spoil it for us.
Yeah, we're trying to have a good time here, and you're fucking it up.
Assholes.
Yeah.
But, okay, so no major issues with your travel, which is amazing because almost every other person I talk to.
Yeah.
I mean, the airports these days, the airlines, it's just wild.
Yeah. The worst thing about it is just that because there's so few flights now.
Yeah, it's a limited
airlines,
market.
Yeah, they just deleted flights essentially.
Yeah.
So you're in the situation where you have so few to book from.
Yeah.
That's why I ended up with a layover that's 14 hours. So you never needed to use to do that. That was the thing. But yeah, that's basically what I was left with. It was either that or flying out of Newark.
Was Newark a direct flight?
You can do that, but you would be spending.
You're spending so much.
I spent like $600 on the flight, and about half of that is government fees to the United States. Right?
It's ridiculous.
It is. If you wanted to fly out of Newark and have a direct flight, then you would have been looking at $2,000.
That's that's less than we paid for or that's more than we paid for Japan, which is an exorbitantly longer flight.
And I don't know if it's more to Japan now, but I mean, the bottom line is that I was not going to spend $600 versus $2,000. That's obviously not small.
That's wild.
That's a big
huge amount of money. So I rolled the dice on that, and I was like, I'll spend 14 hours chilling at the airport instead of spending $1,400. I mean, you're basically spending $1,400 to not be at Fort Lauderdale, which kind of sounds
How
nice
long is the direct flight?
It's
5
only
hours.
like
about 5 hours.
5 hours?
Yeah.
Because I know like 2 to fucking like Aruba is like 2.5 hours, and that's not terribly far from.
No, it's 5 hours. It might be like it's as is always the case. It's a little bit. I forget which one it is, but it's one of them. Either the back or forth is a little bit longer
than
the other
Yeah.
by like a half an hour.
When we went 5 years ago, did we go direct from AC? I'm trying to remember. I think we did.
I think we did.
Yeah.
because they used to do that.
They
but
used
now
to
they
do
don't
that.
do any.
Yeah. That was a different time.
Yeah.
Before the world got all fucked up.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, no, it was, for the most part, it was, I mean, I got what I paid for. None of the flights were canceled. Spirit sucks as always.
So you flew Spirit. You know what you're getting into.
Well,
Just-
that's the only airline you can fly out of
in Atlantic City. Yeah.
Atlantic City.
You're stuck with that. That's I had the same logic when I went down to Florida like a month or so ago.
Right.
It was just, I refused to drive north so I could fly south.
Yeah.
I'll give you another little stupid fucking little story from Spirit Airlines. On my way back, the very last flight, so Orlando to Atlantic City, the other flights were fine. There was like no screaming babies or anything like that. And then on this one, I had aisle seats the rest of the time because I guess nobody likes those. But
I love the aisle seat.
I don't get that.
I
at
like
all.
the aisle seat because I can stand up right away.
Well, I can stand up right away, and
I like
also
to be able
I
to
can
get out
I
to
can
go
kind
piss.
of extend like my leg a little bit into the aisle, and you know what I
Exactly,
mean?
yeah. So on the way back on this last flight, I had the window seat, which is fine. You know, I mean, I got the view. I couldn't stretch my legs, but whatever.
Right.
But right across, so I have my 1, 2, 3 right there.
Yep.
And then on the opposite side of the aisle is another 1, 2, 3. And that opposite side of the aisle, there was indeed a screaming baby, which is very annoying.
It's gonna happen.
Baby was upset the whole time.
Yeah, babies don't want to be up that high.
Yeah. So I went to go and look over at one point. It was going on for a while, and I was just trying to mind my own business.
Yeah.
And it went on for a while, and I just like got it in my head. I was like, I'm gonna look over there and make like a dirty face at this baby. Just like I'm just gonna like be mean.
I'm gonna send my intentions over to that side of the aisle.
Angry at this point, so just like I kind of had like a fuck everybody kind of mentality, and I like lean forward so that I can see past the two people to my right, and I look over there, and she's the mother.
Yeah.
She's got a kid on one side on her right, and the baby is in the aisle seat essentially, so the closest to me. I look over there. The baby is not crying in this moment. She is maybe 35 years old.
The mother.
The mother.
Oh, it's an old
Not the
baby.
Not the
That's
baby.
an old baby. I've seen a lot of things on A&E that.
Oh my God, I need a cigarette. For that.
Yeah.
So anyway, so the mother, Moses, is approximately 35 years old. She's got a little bit of meat on her. You know, she just popped out 2 kids, I guess. You know, good-looking woman. And I'm just painting a picture for you.
All right.
She has this baby, you know, cradling the child now. I think the kid was in the seat before. Now she's cradling the child.
yeah.
And she's breastfeeding. There's nothing weird about that, except that I've seen women breastfeed in public before, and it's normally like a thing where like it's pulled up a little bit, the shirt,
They kind
and the
of
baby's like
hide
in
it a
there.
little
Yeah,
bit,
it's like
but-
you're not seeing the whole thing. you know?
Yeah.
This woman has straight up got the whole shirt pulled up to her neck. So just like both of her tits are full out.
It's like you
And
got
they're pretty
nipples, like,
large.
what's the fucking
Yeah.
difference?
And the baby's just like, I mean, hanging low and sweet and
And quiet,
and quiet, yeah.
If it
But I
keeps-
mean, just like her tits are full on out, and I had this whole idea that I was going to give like a menacing glance, and I look at that and I'm like, I need to not look in this direction at all because now it looks like I'm fucking oogling her, which you know, not
Now
for
you're
nothing. I mean, I
tempted.
did have the idea to like kind of look a little bit.
And just latch onto her other tit, right? So it's like, oh,
right.
I didn't know it's
It
feeding
was
time.
just like, and I was amazed. Like, I
Better
get it's
than
an
peanuts.
airplane. Like, it's not like a park where you can see everything from every angle. You know, like if you're on an airplane, generally you're not looking around at all the other passengers. But I mean, it's just both tits full on out. They're pretty large. There's no concealment going on.
Like you never seen a tit before.
I mean,
But listen,
you know, it's just weird.
I'll speak for myself, but I tend to think this is the case. I think for men, there's just something hardwired where if you glance and you see some tits, your brain has to take a second and a half to be like, oh shit,
Yeah.
those are tits.
Yeah, like it was almost like that. Like I wasn't trying. Like if I want to watch porn, I'll watch porn. You know.
Right.
And so it wasn't like a sexual thing. I was more just like caught up in the moment, I guess. and I wasn't sure.
You
what
made
to-
it weird.
I made it very weird, and that's like, thank God
It's
nobody
not
saw.
a weird thing. Like
Yeah.
if she had her fucking cha-cha and was like just finger banging herself to
Jeez, oh,
to get the
wow,
kids
that would be a
like
big- I
that's
would've been
where you're
looking
like,
then.
all right,
Then I'm into
it's
it.
weird.
Yeah.
Situation got very aggressive very
Well,
quickly.
in fair, you're right. I did make it weird, and I'll own up to that. I'm just saying that she didn't need to pull the whole fucking shirt.
Let her
all
be
the way up.
comfortable. She's got 2 fucking kids and she's already fucking stressed the fuck out.
I guess.
Let her live her life,
I don't know
man.
why you have to bring a kid on the plane.
Well, it's got to get there somehow.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe he
God,
wants to
I
go
was
see
about to
his
say
father.
something wildly terrible.
Yeah, no, I don't think the kid needs to go there at all. When I talked to Amanda, younger sister, about going to Colombia, she specifically said, since she just popped out this kid, she said, I will go when I don't have to worry about being that person on the plane with a screaming baby. So she's got sense.
Yeah.
This other bitch with her fucking shirt pulled all the way up, showing off her titties for everybody to see.
She's not showing off. She's just breastfeeding. Like she's.
I'm just saying, you can breastfeed without whipping them both out.
There's a free agent in this situation. Like, if you're just breastfeeding and you have the one that's feeding the child out, that's acceptable in terms of feeding your child. She has the free agent out here.
Yeah, I don't walk
Shirts
into
are uncomfortable, man.
I don't walk into a men's restroom when I need to take a piss and just drop my fucking pants off. You know,
that's
I
your
whip
own
my
fault.
dick out.
Hey, little guy, point me to the stall you want me to go to.
You know,
like a divining
I
rod.
take out the part that's necessary to do the job. You know.
Whatever. Like, stop sexualizing everything. She's
can do, boss.
She's just living her life. And
Look at you, all high and mighty.
Absolutely. Get
I
down
am
off
a
your
feminist.
cloud.
Handing down life lessons to the rest of us on this
high
podcast.
on a
You
cloud.
of all people.
What? You're lucky I woke up.
When are you due, Moses? You're gonna be popping both of those titties out.
That's why I'm back in my other women. Like, I'm going to whip my titties out once my gut goes down. And
He's gonna transfer
I'm going to
that
feed the
fat
nation.
Welcome
Here,
to
latch
Feed
on
the
to this.
Nation with Moses, brought to you by Dumplings.
Damn right it's brought to you by dumplings.
Oh, my goodness.
I am.
Well, like, straight up, the airport sucked. There's nothing we can do about that. Christina and I are going to Amsterdam in September, and we're going to be paying. Oh, no, it's awesome, but we're going to be paying way too much for convenience of having a straight flight. Yeah. And also, these days, there's always the constant worry that something fucked up is going to happen.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You get stuck in an airport.
Especially one of those, like, where you would have your connecting flight. Those European nations.
Well, yeah.
Can go any kind of way at any given time.
I used to do that a lot. So, like, anytime I went to Europe, say if I was going to France, I would stop in Germany first, have a layover there. I know I've had layovers in, like Heathrow in England, in London, whatever. And it just always gets fucked up. And this is in the supposed good times of flying, you know what I mean?
Pre 9/11 or post? Because that's when everything really fucking changed.
Post. Oh, well, no, when I went to France, that was pre 9/11. And that one was fucked up. Not on so much the airline's fault, but massive storms that came through. But they had us sit in the airplane for like 8 hours on the tarmac.
That's the worst. I'd rather sit in the gate at the gate than sit on the plane.
Oh,
and wait for
they should
whatever they have
disembark
to do.
As far as I'm concerned, if you're going to be like in a plane, I don't know what the cutoff point, hour, whatever. And like there's no like immediate like sign of any resolution in sight. Disembark that fucking plane. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It just sucks so bad.
Infuriates people that don't know. Yeah.
No, because now you got everybody in a fucking metal tube. And that just brings anxiety to fucking people.
And everybody's a mouth breather, so it's just getting hot.
Also, because they can't run the air conditioning with the plane just sitting there. So it's like, that's not how those systems work. So it's just getting hotter and hotter.
Yeah.
And assholes take their shoes off and it smells like feet.
That's the worst.
I take my shoes off.
And then kids are getting upset.
On that one Japan flight, I was I was sitting in an aisle. It was on the way to Japan. I think it was the first time because I was
to Dallas or out of Dallas?
I think it was out of Dallas.
Okay.
I think
where you hit all that turbulence?
Well, it wasn't just the turbulence because there was a guy with 2 kids, and he was letting these kids. Like I was in an aisle seat, and I was like, I was fucked up on Vicodin. Like I had a lot of Vicodin, and I started drinking the cranberry whatevers I had.
I can't imagine how you ended up in the hospital.
I can't either. But I'm watching this guy, because they were younger kids, and he was doing his best to keep them from crying. So they were like running up and down the aisle.
Doing his best would be not bringing them on the plane.
Well, it's we've already crossed that point.
On a 14-hour flight.
It is what it is. I don't know why you're bringing kids to Japan when you're clearly like German of some sort, like some kind of.
I guess there's your answer.
But whatever. But the kids were running up and down the aisle, which fine. It's not that big of a deal. But then they go to the door. Like the airplane door. And I'm like, that kid is going to fucking just haphazardly lift the latch. Yeah. And like that started to, like, I was getting like fucking
how long can you hold your breath?
And like the girl that I was sitting next to, she was going there for like some kind of military thing. Like she was in the military and whatever. And we were talking briefly. And like once I said I'm like super high on Vicodin, she's like, oh, I don't want to talk to you. We're like, well, this is how I'm getting
This
through
is
it.
how I get through this.
Through it, you know?
She's fighting for your freedom to do that, though.
Well, and like I'm glad it's working for her because I'm doing it.
There you go.
I'm doing it. Like I'm making her dreams possible. But these fucking kids, I'm like, oh, I didn't give them points. They're just gonna hit that latch, and like I have my seatbelt on, but I'm also watching like Doctor Strange, where it's like, oh, anything is fucking possible.
Oh, you would watch Doctor Strange.
I
was thinking to myself while I was just observing on one of these flights. I was positioned near one of those doors, and I had two different thoughts in my head since I'm a morbid thinker at times. And I remember the one thought of it was that when I was a kid, the first time that I was on a plane, I was thinking back to like Looney Tunes and shit, and I was like, "There's a parachute for every one of us, just in case." And as an adult the other day, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, wow,
no,
that's a really dumb thought.
There's barely a parachute for the pilot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think there's any parachutes.
No.
There's barely flotation devices for everyone on the plane.
And then the other, and this is a much more morbid thought, I was thinking about, because I like watching plane crash videos while I'm on a plane because it fucks up other people.
Yeah.
And I was watching this one where it was like there was some sort of a decompression event.
Yeah.
And like 2 rows of seats just got sucked out into the ocean.
Right.
And nobody ever saw them again. And the whole time I'm like just watching it, I was like, I wonder like how long it takes for you to lose consciousness when that happens.
It's got to be quick,
presumably.
if at all.
Yeah.
Like, I know some people are. It's probably like those roller coaster or the slingshot videos that you see, where like a person's on a roller coaster and they're like, or like the slingshot one, where there's like 2 people and then they just fucking rubber band you into the fucking sky and you come back down or whatever. And it's just like, oh, like somebody's always talking shit. And then the guy like that runs the machine's like, oh, I just got to go fix this one thing because it's not tight. Click. Yeah. And then you fly. And then it's like somebody screaming their fucking balls off. And then all of a sudden, out.
Yeah, they lose consciousness.
And then they regain it at a certain point, and then you're regaining consciousness. Like you passed out from getting flung into the sky.
Yep.
But then you're waking up in a 5-second interval. You're in the sky. And it's just like, oh my fucking God. Like, because it takes a minute to just register your whereabouts.
Your body is doing so many things, and all of them are terrifying. They're absolutely, I mean, this is the most scary.
It's like, motherfucker, we can't fly, so we got to fight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're strapped into a fucking seat.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that's
I've seen a bunch of those videos
They're
recently.
funny. Like, there's this fat kid that, like, seems like he's sliding out of the slingshot thing.
That was
he's
classic.
like, oh, fucking, I can't remember what the lady's name was that went on with her. She's laughing it up and she's having a good time. He's like, oh, fucking Sancha, I'm fucking falling. It hurts. It's like the poor kid is like through so much pain and scared fucking out of his mind, and she's just like,
I saw one recently, and it's like this black couple where it's like a sassy black lady and she's awesome. She's like, oh, this is going to be crazy, blah, blah, blah. And the black dude is losing his absolute shit.
Yeah.
You know, he's praying to God. He's praying to God, everything. And then, as you said, like the ride operator's like, your seatbelt isn't tight enough. Not tight enough. And like the dude's like, mine? And he's like, yeah. Oh, wait, I think, oh yeah, both ears are too loose, and he like pretends to like, you gotta get down here, we got 2 loose, seatbelts, and then just launches them into the air.
Oh man!
And then the dude's like, "Mama."
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's just that's not my thrill seeking.
Oh, it's funny, like, because if you were that person, like the operator of the ride. Why wouldn't you do that to get through the day? Because you're dealing with a whole bunch of assholes.
Well,
I'll be the first to admit too, I'm a bitch on free fall.
I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Free fall's the only one that I'm like kind of okay on.
When I did the skydiving thing, that was absolutely awful.
And you were affixed to like
strapped
somebody
to
else.
Somebody, yeah.
That does it.
Exactly, yeah. So when I did that, they're like strapped to your back.
Yeah.
And they have you go through these various motions that little by little. And obviously, they've got it down to pretty much a science that are removing the risk of you fucking it up and killing both of you.
Right.
So they like have you get into position, one leg out, and then they have you cross your arms so you don't grab something and like throw yourself
to start spiraling when you jump out.
To do something terrible, right? But with that, they do it in a very similar fashion, and it's to stop you from doing something stupid at the last minute. So they do like all right, we're gonna jump at at 1. I'm gonna count down, and they go 3. And then jump. Yeah. And you don't have the ability.
You're left in a Murtaugh position where, like, I thought it was 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah. You fit, because what's happening is that, my understanding of it is that it's like you've got, your brain needs that moment to respond. It's like 3/4 of a second. And in those 3/4 of a second, the whole thing is already passed.
Right.
So by the time that you're able to react, it's too late.
Yeah.
Which is the scariest scenario for you, but the safest scenario for the person strapped to your back.
It's more safe, that scenario, than you fucking freaking the fuck out.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But that's just it. You are freaking the fuck out.
Yeah,
you
but
just can't grab anything.
There's nothing to grab.
You're powerless.
Yeah, what are you going to hold on to, a seagull or something?
You're out of the fucking plane.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Well, that was yeah.
All right, gentlemen. You want to
Get us out of here, Dan.
Well, before we go,
Oh, please.
would we like to announce something?
Oh, yeah.
We can do that in the next one, no?
This is the one that would be coming out.
Yeah.
The one before, okay.
Yeah. So we will be at Atlantic City Beer Fest. That is June 3rd and 4th, if I am not mistaken.
Correct, sir.
Yeah, the Saturday, Sunday.
So we will be actually doing this podcast live-ish.
Live?
Because if you're there, you will be hearing us live. We will be recording it. I do not think we'll be able to stream it.
No, we're not that advanced yet.
We'll get there, because we're going there with Flogging Molly, I think, and 311.
We're not going there with Flogging Molly.
Yeah, we're touring with Flogging Molly.
Are we hopping in with them? What's the deal?
And the hell we must sail.
They will be playing there.
I'll just meet you guys there. I don't know.
We could get fucking, I don't know who plays in Flogging Molly, but we could maybe get Nick Hexum from 311. Or Peanut.
Yeah. Listen, you can work some magic.
We'll play it by ear. We probably will have the beardos.
At least there's that.
Get Flogging Molly, but just only get them to perform Tobacco Island.
There we go.
Clearly their best song.
Yeah.
And the last time they did Atlantic City Beer Fest, they didn't play the entirety of the song because someone passed out in the pit. So I feel like I was robbed of that performance because I love that song because it's about, the Irish being essentially sold into slavery by the British. So they need to play that song.
Happy-go-lucky tale. We all love it.
But yeah, we will be there. We'll be cruising around doing a little bit of a marathon for us. Podcast during each session.
Yeah.
Yep.
One Saturday, one Sunday.
There's going to be at least a lot of snippets.
Yeah.
At the very least.
And we'll have some people going in and out. You know, it's not going to be the four of us the whole time. God forbid you guys sit down for any longer than an hour and a half.
It's a little
all
rough.
about going in and out, Dan.
My hemorrhoids.
You might get to hear some of this awesome wrestling podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Me and producer
Nobody
Dan are
wants
putting
that.
together.
Once Justin and Pete have had enough, it's just going to be Moses and I talking wrestling for a good chunk of time.
Appropriate.
And Matt Crystal also I think he did some indie wrestling. So we could talk to him.
Oh, okay.
He's one of the beardos.
And then once Pete comes back and you guys leave, well, I'm sure it'll just be nonstop political nonsense.
Yeah.
So,
I'm going to talk about dead dogs the entirety of the time.
you will pay respect to my goddamn dead dog.
Can we sign off with a cheers to Jet?
I mean, we can do that, but we haven't signed off yet.
Yeah, we're getting there.
We're
done with it.
We did our announcement, which what we needed to do, because otherwise, how will people know? How will our 6 listeners know?
Yeah. If you're clever, you'll be able to find us.
There's Christina. That's all I know.
Where is Christina?
No, she's only listener.
She is. Love you, baby.
Thank you, Christina.
So to Christina, be sure to subscribe to this podcast. Leave a 5-star review. Check us out on YouTube and Rumble. Make sure that you smash that like button, comment, share, and subscribe.
Mash it hard.
You can also find us on social media. Get in on the conversation. To defend my dead dog from these savages. We are at Loud and Drunk on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Locals. If you enjoyed this podcast, then think about giving us money on Locals.
Keep doing it.
So we can actually expand this podcast and make it better, sound better, have visual, all of those nice things. If you are morbid enough to see what we actually look like and what we're doing.
We know
all
you're
that
out
stuff.
there.
Yeah.
Mostly dead
Christina.
dogs.
It's weird.
Once again, thank you. Thank you, baby.
Why doesn't he get flagged?
So, for Justin, Moses, and Pete, I'm producer Dan. Raise up a glass.
Raise a glass.
Cheers,
Salud,
Jet.
salud.
My beloved Jetty.
Hey, to Jetty.
Salud, Jetty.
Jetty, we miss you.
And to you, the audience, thank you for joining us. And until next time, this is Loud and Drunk.
Bye-bye.
Listen.